What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Desai Guys Football Forum. I'm one of your co-hosts, Number Desai, joined as always by my good friend, my good buddy, the other half of Desai Guys, Mr. Tad Desai. And Tad, we are finally at a point with bye weeks now. We have hit our first bye week for week 6. I believe the Falcons, the Niners, the Jets, and I'm blanking on the fourth team that has a bye week. I don't know if you remember off the top of your head.
No idea. It's amazing I even know my own name at this point.
So yeah, we got 4 teams on a bye week, but they're not too huge a name of teams that, should affect your fantasy roster. But regardless, if you're in a very deep league, if you're in a dynasty league, whatever type of league you're in, you could use some waiver wire help with the bye week or just in regardless for streaming reasons. So we're going to go through just a player for every position like we usually do, start quarterbacks, end with defense. And without further ado, I'll pass to you here, Tad. Who do you like for a quarterback off the waiver wire for week 6 here?
All right, so let's get started. And first off, I'd just like to say that I'm feeling a little under the weather, so that's why I sound like I'm doing a bad Batman impression right now. And also, if any of these players don't work out, I'm just going to blame it on, cloudy, sick minds. So that's a great little fallback there. First off, with quarterbacks, just look at the hat, baby. I am saying go with Carson Wentz. Now,
it's hard to tell with your hat because you got it backwards, and it's like...
Oh, is it the mirror thing? Yeah.
Not the mirror thing, it's just, it's so small, you can't tell.
Here we go. Okay.
There you go. There you
go. There we are. I hate how frontwards looking hats look on me, but anyway. Makes my head look so small, but whatever.
You can flip it back around now. People saw it now.
There we go. So I am saying go with Carson Wentz. Now, I will say I'd like him only as a streaming option this week. I like him as a quarterback, week to week, but not, to be rostered. Just kind of got to keep your eye on. And the reason I like him this week is, look, I know the Colts have been struggling. We're not going to talk about the Ravens game because I'm not quite over it yet. But the Colts as a team, not that impressive. But him as a fantasy quarterback, not bad. He scored 17-plus points in the last 4 of his 5 games. And he actually just had his first 20-plus point performance against the Ravens, which is still an impressive defense. They're not quite what they were. So, you look at what the Texans defense, so it's Colts at Texans. I believe they're at Texans this next week. The Texans defense is a joke. The only QB they've played that has scored less than 17 points was Mac Jones. And even that was an upset because I was fully expecting Mac Jones to go over 17. So, look, I think that if Wentz is healthy going into this game, which for now it does seem like he is, I have total faith in him to post up his second 20-plus point performance. So if your quarterback's on a bye week, you don't have a backup, Carson Wentz is available in Carson Wentz is available in 95% of ESPN leagues, and real quick math on my part, 85% of Yahoo leagues. So he is there for a streaming option. And the best part is you probably won't be finding anyone on the waiver wire for him.
That's not a bad addition. Hopefully, things will work out for the Colts better than what happened with New England against Houston, because I think nobody expected Houston to sort of jump up to that lead.
I was wondering about that when I was writing this out, but I'm chalking that up to NFL week, where it's just like it's the NFL. You're gonna have weird weeks like that, with one team a week. So Texans got lucky. Davis Mills got lucky. They're gonna fall back to earth next week, especially because the Colts are gonna be playing pissed off after last week's loss. So I'm very scared if I'm a Texans fan going into this game.
Yeah, so that's the hope there, but just very interesting what happened with New England and Houston.
Reality. let me have this.
For me, I'm actually going with one of the older quarterbacks that just hasn't been looking all that great this year, and finally looked like we saw some glimpses with the game that they had last week, and that's Ben Roethlisberger with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's only rostered in 22.8% of ESPN leagues and 24% of Yahoo leagues. Yeah, a little bit, because, you look at this matchup, before the season began, you're like, okay, the Pittsburgh Steelers should be pretty good, Seattle is going to be pretty good, but now with the news that Russell Wilson's not playing, obviously the way the Steelers have been playing, this Sunday night football matchup is, not going to be all the greatest. We'll see what actually happens. The Seahawks, obviously, we've talked about this many a time. Very bad defense. They're currently allowing the most yards in the league.
Adams,
the 11th most points in the league. Yeah, it's very surprising just what's going on over there. And like I said, Pittsburgh's offense finally started clicking in Matt Canada's system, and they scored the most points that they did all season long against the Broncos last week. So you hope that can continue into a following week, hopefully future weeks as well. I don't know about future weeks, but I'm counting on this week alone against Seattle. Roethlisberger, he's not a fantasy starter anymore. That's, a given. Honestly, he doesn't even look like a real starter anymore either. I think age has gotten to him. It's just, hopefully, for the Steelers' sake, this is his last season. They need to find a replacement to move on with that franchise. He's done so many great things for that franchise, but it's time for him to hang it up. So for this week only, he's a really great streaming option because of the terrible, Seattle defense that they're going to be playing. Yes, even with the loss of Juju Smith-Schuster, I think he still has enough weapons. Obviously, Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson, James Washington may be available. Obviously, tight end Pat Freiermuth, Eric Ebron. Obviously, Najee Harris out of the backfield is a really good receiving option too. So he's still got more than enough weapons. And I think for streaming purposes, I think you could I don't think you can find a better quarterback than Roethlisberger this week. I mean, there's a ton of other good quarterbacks, but as far as streaming, he's probably one of the better ones out there, especially on the waiver wire if you're looking at, Slim Pickens out there.
I don't hate it, but I also don't love it, especially because we have to remember this will be the first week that Juju Smith-Schuster is not going to be. Did I do that right? Is it Schuster-Smith? Smith-Schuster?
No, you had it right the first time, and then you screwed it up afterwards.
Well, I always screw it. Yeah. I can never get that one right, but he is now out for the season. For those of you who do not know, he had shoulder surgery, actually right after the game. I was shocked to get that score alert of he had surgery last night. I was like, oh, casual. Joe Burrow, neck contusion, whatever the hell that is.
Throat contusion. It's not even neck contusion. Yeah.
Football's a hell of a sport, man. But so you have the Steelers offense has that big question mark for it, and plus, like you said, Ben is just it's not even his offensive line sucks, and that's why he's not doing great. He just he can't hit some of these open guys. I don't know where the hell his accuracy is gone. Yeah. So can he, pull a good performance out of his? Maybe, but I don't know. That's a little risky to me.
It is a little bit risky. That's why I said for future games, I don't know if I like him. But for Seattle's week, I think it should be all right. We'll see what happens there. But let's move on to the running back position here, Tad. Who do you like at the running back position?
Look, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is out for at least a few weeks with an MCL sprain, and that is not the type of injury that, it's very dead set of okay, just 3 weeks and he's back. That could stretch even further. So you go for his backup, and that's Daryl Williams. And this is why I really like this. His people, and by people, I mean me, were really hating on Williams before this because he was vulturing from Clyde Edwards-Helaire's touchdowns anyway. So now he doesn't even have to vulture. He's just their main guy now. So I like him a lot more than a guy like Devontae Booker because, look, Devontae Booker with Saquon Barkley out will be taking over as a lead back in the Giants offense. The problem is how good is that offense going to really be considering literally every single starter except for Evan Ingram's out on that offense. So I think Booker can kind of get bottled up. The Chiefs' offense hasn't been their problem this year. They've been high scoring. They've been good. It's that defense that's terrible. That's, keeps them losing games. So is Daryl Williams as good as Clyde Edwards-Helaire? No, but he's not that much worse either. And this is still a high-functioning offense. So I like Daryl Williams. And real quick, I know people are going to go, well, what about those Marlon Macrumors? I don't care. Because, well, first of all, I think that would be a great trade for the Chiefs. But let's assume Marlon Mack gets traded, knowing our luck. Let's assume he gets traded to the Chiefs tomorrow morning, right? Probably not going to be active this weekend then. Might be a primary backup the week after or just kind of ease him into that role. And then the week after that, 3 weeks from now, then he might start taking over as the lead back. But honestly, if you can get a number one starting running back on your team for at least 2 weeks, I think that's a good pickup. So, yeah, Daryl Williams, go for it.
Also, you have to look at the fact that when Clyde Edwards-Helaire got hurt in that game against Buffalo, Daryl Williams got majority of the carries. I don't think anybody else in the backfield got any carries. Exactly. And you look, they obviously signed Jerick McKinnon in the offseason, and he's just not been contributing at all. So it's just this is clearly Daryl Williams' backfield as long as Clyde Edwards-Helaire is hurt. So, yeah, I like that option as well. We'll see what happens if they do eventually trade for Marlon Mack. I think that the Colts will probably hang on to him. Looking at the landscape of running backs with all these running backs getting hurt, I think the Colts may be hey, maybe let's hang on to you for a little bit longer, the rest of the season, just in case something happens, and then, he can sign a big deal in the offseason or something like that, let him move that time, but we'll see what happens. We still got a couple weeks until the NFL trade deadline on November 2nd, if I remember correctly. So, My running back, I'm actually going with the rookie here, and that's Khalil Herbert of the Chicago Bears. Rostered in only 8.2% of ESPN leagues and 19% of Yahoo leagues. Surprising it's 19% Yahoo leagues. A lot of people are thinking a little bit ahead there.
That sounds good. Good for you, Yahoo users.
Exactly.
Literally the only time I'll say that in my life.
So obviously with the injury to David Montgomery, the running game is going to rely on multiple running backs as opposed to just the workhorse. I think on this show last week, I think I said pick up Damian Williams because that was the obvious choice, and he still looked really good. I mean, he got a touchdown. I think he got 64 yards or something like that off of 16 carries or something like that. So he looked really good. The thing that not a lot of people expected is that Khalil Herbert actually got 2 more carries than Damian Williams. He got 18 in that game, and he rushed for 75 yards. So he rushed for 4.17 yards per carry against Las Vegas last week against the Raiders. And you have to look at this. That's maybe they're going to go with that tandem duo, that tandem effect, as opposed to just going with just Damian Williams. Now, one thing I will say, though, Herbert is solely a running back. He has absolute zero value as a pass catcher. So that's where Damian Williams still holds some value. If you did pick him up last week or if you're going to pick him up this week, then he still has a lot more value than Khalil Herbert. But the fact that Khalil Herbert is getting, if not the same amount, just close to the same amount, just very close to the same amount of carries as Damian Williams is in that backfield, he's definitely worth picking up for the time being while David Montgomery is sitting out with an injury. So yeah, I think for a couple weeks you can look a little bit. You can look at Khalil Herbert. You can put him into your flex spot depending on the matchup, and he can get you good yards solely as a running back, though. So make sure you listen to that caveat there. He has no value as a pass catcher. That's where Damian Williams will still make his hay there. So, but yeah, the rookie out of Virginia Tech, if I remember correctly, I think they drafted him in the 6th or 7th round. So getting some value here in fantasy love.
Yeah, I mean, you absolutely hit the nail on the head. If you're PPR, half PPR maybe, but if you're full PPR, don't bother with this. But if you're not and you're hurting for a flex position, this is a fairly good, pickup because I know they kind of weren't exactly what everyone was expecting against the Raiders, but this Bears offense under Justin Fields is looking a lot better. So my stock on everyone on the Bears is going up, especially because I started Damian Williams against Miguel in our Emergenized League and handed him his first loss of the season. So, hey, Miguel. But yeah, so I'm very high on most of these Bears players. So I like that pickup.
Yep. All right, so let's move on to the wide receiver position. Tad, who do you like at the wide receiver position off the waiver wire?
So I know I just trashed this offense, but I like Kadarius Toney, the first-round pick of the New York Giants. Finally.
The invisible man in New York has finally appeared.
Christ, all it took was the first 4 receivers getting hurt, and then all of a sudden Jason Garrett was like, oh, yeah, we have this guy. That's shocker. But, yes, before the idiot threw punches and got ejected in the 4th quarter, what a moron. Dude, you're down. You're not winning that game. What are you doing? Anyway, so he had 22 fantasy points, depending on your format. So he is dependable. He is a good weapon. And, once again, he's really the only weapon they have left. It's like him, Ingram, and maybe Devontae Booker. I don't know. Notice that neither one of us chose Booker, by the way. That should tell you something.
Staying away from that.
Yeah, exactly. So, I like Toney a lot. I think the Giants are basically going to just keep throwing at him one-on-one. And, yes, the Giants' offense is going to be very one-dimensional and limited, but they got to pass it, and they're probably going to have to pass it a lot to stay in these games. And, like I said, he's the only healthy guy, so I expect him to get a healthy target amount. And this is the problem is I notice how I'm not spitting a lot of stats at you. It's because the stats have sucked up until this is the first real game where we got to see him
finally broke out. Yeah, so there's not much to go off of.
Right. But, so, yeah, this is mostly an eye test type of thing, but just eye test, just necessity of his usage. I like him. Go for him.
So you gave me a rookie. I'm going to one-up you and give you another rookie, and that's Amon-Ra St. Brown out of the Detroit Lions. So
I like this one a lot.
The news recently just surfaced that Quintus Cephas, one of their wide receivers, is out for the year. He broke his collarbone, so now it's the next man up mentality. So St. Brown was actually a guy that was going towards the end of a lot of ESPN leagues. I actually think I drafted him originally in our league. I had him as a bench spot. Hopefully he'll develop into getting more targets in this offense. But unfortunately, through those first 3 games, he was not getting targeted. It was Quintus Cephas. It was, Khalif Raymond, I think, is one of the guys. It was a lot of other people besides St. Brown. Obviously, TJ Hawkinson was the primary pass-catching target there. But now, through 2 straight games, obviously very similar to the Giants with lots of injuries at the wide receiver position, they've been starting to look more St. Brown's way. So in his last 2 games, he's had 8 targets apiece. He hasn't scored yet, but he's getting a lot of yards, getting a lot of targets, a lot of receptions, obviously. So if you look through his first 3 games of the year, he had a total of 10 targets, which includes 1 game with only 1. And if you look at the past 2 games, he's got 16 total. So clearly they're looking in his direction more, even with the possibility that Darrell Williams, one of the guys that they signed in the offseason, he's going to be coming off the IR, possibly will play this week. But even once he comes back, I think they see something in Amon-Ra St. Brown, obviously why they drafted him. I think they see potential with him. So even with Darrell Williams returning into the offense, I think Amon-Ra St. Brown will still get a fair amount of targets. He'll still get a fair amount of love from Jared Goff. Just like you said with the New York Giants, they're going to be passing a lot, because if there's one thing that, bad teams are good at, it's garbage time passing. And that's what the Detroit Lions are going to be doing.
Baby. That's right, Liv.
Exactly. So, St. Brown has a lot of talent. I think he's easily going to step up, become more of an asset in this offense, which means good fantasy points on the horizon for Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I never thought I'd say this sentence in my life, but other than the quarterback, I'm actually interested in almost every single player on this Lions offense. This is fantasy-wise, this is a very fascinating offense, because exactly like what you said, they pass it a lot. So, their wide receivers are involved. Obviously, if you can trade for Hawkinson, do it. I've tried. It's not happening. Because his owner is smart in our league. So it's if you can get Hawkinson, absolutely go for it. And then, DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams, both of them are working out much better together fantasy-wise than I thought they would. So this entire Lions offense is pretty dependable. Fantasy-wise, not actually on the field, apparently. God, I feel so. This is the worst I've felt for the Lions in a while, man.
Lots of close ones there. Lots of close ones there.
So I absolutely love St. Brown. I thought that was a steal when they drafted him, and I'm happy to see it finally working out.
Yeah, and then just one final note about Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's available everywhere. He's only rostered in 5.4% of ESPN leagues and only 3% of Yahoo leagues. So he's available. Go get him. So, Tad, you already brought up TJ Hawkinson. Let's move into the tight end position here. Who do you like at the tight end position off the waiver wire this week?
You want to talk about availability, my friend. I'm beating you here with this guy.
Let's hear it.
Ricky Seals-Jones. Shout out to the Sealy High School, by the way. It's a high school I used to cover for a paper, and this is actually his alma mater. So Ricky Seals-Jones, the tight end with the Washington football team. He's available in 0.9% of ESPN leagues. You heard that right. He is owned in less than 1% of ESPN leagues. Owned at a whopping 2% of Yahoo leagues. So he is out there for you people. You might remember him. He had that insane corner end zone catch. What was that, Thursday night game?
I don't think they played on Thursday night, or maybe they did.
Well, this was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. I remember the catch exactly what it was. Yeah, but I just blanked out. I guess it was the Thursday night game when they played the New York Giants, right?
Because that was the whole was the offsides field goal thing. And by the way, Giants fans, yes, he was offsides. Get over it. But anyway, so you might remember him from that. But Logan Thomas is out for at least the next 3 weeks. He's on the IR, so it's not even you have to keep checking of if he's coming back or not. For the next 3 weeks, probably maybe even longer than that, he's out. So Ricky Seals-Jones is the guy. So look, this past week he had 6.6 points. It's not terrible, not quite the breakout game I was hoping for, but with the shallow field of tight ends this year, that's really pretty good with what you can get. So it's not like he's hurting for targets. He had 8 targets in that game, so Heineke loves throwing to his tight ends because Logan Thomas was doing just fine before as well. So if you're really hurting for a tight end, like I know most of us are, go for Ricky Seals-Jones, at least for the near future. When Logan Thomas comes back, cut him, replace him with someone else. But for now, I think that's a pretty good diamond in the rough you can find there.
Exactly. When you have young or inexperienced quarterbacks, you definitely want to pick up the tight end position because they're going to be going to him a lot. With Logan Thomas on IR, exactly like you said, Ricky Seals-Jones, the next man up, and he's proven that he could be a dependable option based off that catch that we were talking about. So not a bad addition to your fantasy roster if you're hurting at the tight end spot. My guy is Hunter Henry out of the New England Patriots, rostered in only 40.7% of ESPN leagues and 47% of Yahoo leagues. So we talked about this earlier, but just in the offseason, they made a flurry of offseason moves. They signed Jonnu Smith as well as Hunter Henry. We thought they were going to replicate their days of, Aaron Hernandez, Rob Gronkowski, the dual threat running routes for the New England Patriots and all sort of thing. But it's been a sort of a, one-sided affair here because so far Jonnu Smith has 115 yards through 5 games and Hunter Henry has 216, which is second on the team. He is also second on the team in reception. So clearly he's being targeted in this offense way more than Jonnu Smith. Like, I know Jonnu Smith, I think, dealt with an injury, I think, a little bit earlier in the season, so that's why his availability was a little bit off, but still, just not involved in this offense for some reason. Just, a lot of people had a lot of hype on him, but just hasn't met that hype. It's all been Hunter Henry. I know a lot of people are talking about, can he stay healthy? Well, clearly he's been staying healthy, and now he's being super productive on top of it. So I think, like I said, it's 40.7 in ESPN and 47 in Yahoo League, so he is rostered in quite a bit of leagues, but if you're in one of those leagues where he's available, he's been getting looked at more and more by Mac Jones, especially with him gaining more confidence. Like I just said, with Tyler Heineke and Ricky Seals-Jones, rookie quarterbacks and inexperienced quarterbacks are going to go to their tight end. So in this case, Hunter Henry has definitely separated himself from being that tandem with Jonnu Smith to being the solo act. So yeah, definitely go pick up Hunter Henry. He's definitely been picking things up the past couple of games, and I think that trend will continue going forward for the rest of the season.
I mean, you know what they say, great minds think alike. I picked up Hunter Henry in my other league
last
weekend. Dude, I didn't even have to look this up when I saw that you picked him. He had 15.6 points last weekend after multiple weeks of me having tight ends that would barely get over 6.
Yeah.
So I absolutely love it, and you can be damn sure he's starting again for me this week going up against the Cowboys, who are ranked 24th against tight ends in fantasy. So people need to remember Hunter Henry, when he was healthy in Los Angeles / San Diego, I think he was there for the later days in San Diego. This dude was a top 10 tight end when he was healthy.
Yep.
So in Jonnu Smith, we talked about this in the offseason a bit, is like I don't know about you, Mer, but I was just talking up to Titans didn't know how to use him.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe we were wrong. Maybe he's just not that good. Like, I honestly am starting to question his talent at this point. So Hunter Henry's looking like the guy to go to, and like you just said a couple of minutes ago, if you have a young, inexperienced quarterback, you go for his tight end. And Mac Jones is young and inexperienced and looking like a rookie. He looks good, but he definitely looks like a rookie. So I like the Hunter Henry boat. Jump on that.
Definitely. So we come to the end here. We're going to talk a little bit here about defense and kickers, not spend a lot of time like we usually do. So, Tad, I'm going to pass it to you here first. Who do you like at defense as well as kicker? He was a little bit earlier on this one.
Right.
Good job.
Thank you. Yeah, the Colts defense. I mean, look, I know they had that epic collapse against that damn Ravens team. I'm going to be bitter about this for a while. I hope, Baltimore, I hate you. I hope you make it to the Super Bowl and you get smashed by 50. I want you to experience that kind of heartbreak. Anyway, I'm done being petty. No, I'm not. But
Never.
I do like this Colts defense because the thing is they are a talented defense. Well, except for that secondary. They are a talented defense, but it's just that their offense cannot really put them in good positions to actually win the game. I'm looking at you, Rodrigo Blankenship.
No.
But anyway, other than that, look, the Colts defense is good. Solid fantasy defense. They're rostered about half of leagues in ESPN, a little less than that, about half of leagues in Yahoo, a little more than that. So they are probably available in your league, 50-50 shot, and they play the Texans. You really need stats to back that up. They play Davis Mills and the Texans. Like, you just saw what this defense did to Lamar Jackson. Like, it's Davis Mills. They're going to be fine.
And then who do you like in the kicker position?
Kicker, this was a little tough because, I feel like by now most of the good kickers have been, picked up. But this is a guy who is surprisingly available in about 80% of leagues in both Yahoo and ESPN. That's Chase Mclaughlin, the Browns kicker. He scored 7 or more points in every game except for one this season. And look, I mean, it's pretty simple as this. The Browns still have one of the best offenses in the league, and Baker probably isn't in my top 10 quarterback. Like, Baker's fine. So there will be times where they kind of stall midway, through the other team's territory. So field goal opportunities, point after opportunities are going to be there for McLaughlin. So if you're hurting for a kicker like I am, I'm probably going to go for him this week.
That's not a bad pick. Not a bad pick at all. Also, like you said, I mean, if you need a kicker, definitely there's, like I said, the bye week. So Young Wei Koo, I know a lot of people drafted him. Falcons are on a bye week, so you definitely need to stream a kicker. The 4th team that I was blanking on, I just looked it up right now. The New Orleans Saints are on a bye week this week. So Alvin Kamara owners, obviously, if you for some reason are streaming Jameis Winston, Taysom Hill, take that out as well. Saints defense, though.
if you're streaming Jameis Winston, you need our help. So thank you for watching this
Saints
video.
defense, though. Saints defense has been playing really well, so you'll have to find an option for them as well, which is why this sort of piece comes in handy right now. My defense is actually the Cincinnati Bengals. They're only rostered in 18.9% of ESPN leagues, 10% of Yahoo leagues, and they're playing the Detroit Lions. And yes, earlier in this episode, I just said, go pick up Amon-Ra St. Brown, and, this is a little bit of a contradicting pick here, but I think in my defense, St. Brown can have a really good game, but the Bengals defense can also have a really good game. So Bengals are tied at 7th with the fewest points allowed in the league and are 11th in fewest yards allowed. And then I brought this up before, I think, but the Detroit's offense likes to rely on the running game. DeAndre Swift, Jamal Williams. This is something Cincinnati is good at stopping. They're ranked 10th in fewest rushing yards allowed and tied for 10th in fewest rushing touchdowns allowed. So if they can stop the one strong point of the Detroit offense and force them to pass, they'll get them into bad situations. They'll force turnovers, possibly just lead to a really good day for the Bengals defense to lead for good offense for Joe Burrow and all their, bevy of weapons that they have. So go pick up the Bengals defense if you need to pick up a defense this week. And my kicker is Jason Myers with the Seattle Seahawks, rostered in 67.8% of ESPN leagues and 29% of Yahoo leagues. Very stark difference there. That was very interesting to see. So brought this up earlier in the episode. No Russell Wilson. He's got the sprained middle finger or jammed middle finger,
broken,
whatever it is.
just
like
nasty ass injury.
He's out for like 4 to 8 weeks or something like that. So Geno Smith looked good in his sub position, but now that people know he's a starter, I don't know how effective he'll be. We'll have to see about that, but I think there's going to be more chances than not that the offense will sputter as they get close to the red zone, unfortunately fail to convert with touchdown drives, but that'll lead to more field goal opportunities for Jason Myers. So for the short term, if you need a kicker, go after Jason Myers. I think he can get you a lot of good points for you. So those are our waiver wire additions for week 6, our first bye week, like we mentioned. So, let us know if you need some help with your rosters. We mention this all the time. We want to see the interaction with you guys. We want to know about trade offers. If you need help with your roster, like we said, with the bye week happening this week, if you need to swap in some guys, just additional waiver wire questions. We want to hear from you, interact with us. You can see it on the scroll there. We point this out every single time because it's a really cool feature, but also it has all the information. You got my handle over the side 23, Tad's at Tad Desai 94, show handle D Desai Guys. Obviously, hit subscribe wherever you watch your well, not wherever. You only watch it on YouTube. But hit subscribe when you're watching it on YouTube. But yeah, wherever you listen to your podcast, you still got the podcast episode. That's what I meant to say. Subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast episodes. It's late. Tad's under the weather. I've been working really late too.
I'm
so
sick.
a little
Been
bit.
busy working. Comes to break people.
Exactly. But we still take the time to give you good information here. So yeah, let us know. We appreciate everybody that tunes in through video as well as listening on the podcast. We just can't thank you enough.